Hello, Milanistas everywhere. How's everyone doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So, welcome to another episode of Milanistas 360. And who do we have in the house? We got Shane, we got John. So, as usual, our panel, we got a lot of great content. Now that the games are back, we're all looking forward to it. Looking forward to hearing opinions from the panel, as well as if anyone's joining us in the chat or wherever from whichever platform that we're here. So just two things that we're going to do today. First of all, is to review the great game that we had, 2-0 win against Bologna, a team that you could say is not really a walk in the park because we have struggled against them in the past, but we pulled away with a clean sheet, 2 goals scored in the first half, and I think quite a good first half performance in getting those goals, and the second half performance in keeping that clean sheet. So I'm just started off with John. Yeah, your thoughts on the game, and how was that as a and that's why the title of the pod is Shots Fired. How was that as a start to the league for AC Milan?
Hasni, so I thought it was a tough first game. I always predicted that game was going to be tough because of the previous performances against Bologna, but actually, I didn't quite look at the starting squad. They've lost a lot of players. Once I saw the starting squad, I was pretty confident that we would, run away winners. Now, on a betting basis, I can tell you the bookmakers are basically saying the most likely result was a 1-1, 1-0 win for Milan or a 2-0 win for Milan. Those are the three most backed results. So it's quite interesting that they got that quite correct. Now, I'd say on the playing side, for me, really hot 10 minutes for Pulisic, and I will give him absolute credit for that. He did do some nice stuff. What we saw also, got to remember, Giroud had one assist and one goal, which is better than anyone else. Um,
But we
but
expect that, don't we?
we still have that same issue. No, we know that Giroud can deliver for a short amount of time. I
Yeah.
think we all know that, but we did give away a lot of chances. And obviously, it's the first game of the season. More work needs to be done. I'm going to give him slack. I am going to give him slack this time. But I do know that harder opponents are coming. So we need to really work on that defensive solidity. And I don't know whether you want to go through the best or the worst players later on, maybe after we hear from Shane.
Yeah, we're gonna hear from Shane. Then we're gonna go through some of the specific moments and some of the players. But Shane, I mean, do you agree with all that? I mean, if you look at the face of it, 2-0. What more could you ask for? Yeah, it's a clean game. Without anyone who's watched the game, you could even say that we dominated beginning to end.
Yeah, it was good. So what I suppose what I did like about it was I didn't like the fact that Leao was, not on form, right? But big improvement on last season in that if Leao isn't on form, we can actually get goals from somewhere else now. So imagine it's like we don't have a dependency on him anymore. There was a couple of kind of couple of standout moments for me. But what I really like about this 4-3-3 is it's really aggressive, and the pressing levels are insane. They're really good. The concern I do have about it though is it's like you said, John. This Bologna team, they're not really, you know, there's not much quality there. And we still had a couple of scary defensive moments. So it remains to be seen. I think it's going to be an interesting season. So we're kind of going into this with a point of view of we're going to be, pressing really high. We're going to be attacking. We're going to be going for it, and that's great. But the problem is that going to scale to someone like Inter or someone like Juventus who are just going to sit back and wait for you to attack and then get the ball and go at you, right? Um, do we have the quality there in midfield to be able to counter that? So it's going to be an interesting season. Um, I I just yeah, I have to say though on the Pulisic thing, he really had a good game. Well, he had a good couple of moments. Giroud at 37 years old, still being highly effective, which is insane. Overall, great game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I seen, but yeah, still a couple of questions about the coming season for me, especially playing against the bigger teams.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And just to add my take on it is that yeah, the first game of the season against an opponent like Bologna, it's a team that you expect to win. But the way in which we did it, especially if you just saw the first half, it didn't look like the Milan of last season, where we would struggle quite a bit even from the get go. I mean, there was that early warning shot where it hit the bar, and we thought, like, oh, is it the same Milan in our form from last season carried over? But fortunately, it wasn't, and we came with 3 points. But I want to focus on the attack because I think the attack is something that looks a lot different than last season. So we were playing 4-3-3. Liao, main man, still there. Giroud, as Shane mentioned, still our standout striker. Pulisic on the right. But one person that I want to point, especially when it comes to the attacking phase, is actually Reindeers. Uh, I think you pronounce his name Tijani Reindeers, or I think they call him TJ or something like that. I want to ask you guys, in the beginning with you, John, did do you see him as quite a bit of a cam the way he played? Because out of the three in our midfield, he seemed to be the guy who's going forward the most, and he had the assist for Giroud's goal. So, do you think it's also part of the purely tactic? And he said this many times, not giving teams point of reference. So start 4-3-3, but then when we go into the actual games, see how the game plays out, and Rangers can move forward, and he's got great ability up front. So, what do you think of the attacking phase?
Yeah, you're right. It's very, very changed from last year. And as Shane pointed out, it's so good to see attacks not coming from always the same place. We were always waiting for Leao to do magic, basically batter the left side the whole match, and then find a space when the opponent was exhausted and run past them and score a goal. The fact that we've now got attacks coming from pretty much all over the front three is really quite nice. Now Reindeers, yeah, he looks like he could do a job, but he can dribble, he can run past players, and clearly he can pass the ball, and assist quite well. So you're right. It could well be this thing about not having a point of reference and allowing those players to just float around there because he was kind of going everywhere. The one player that I don't know what you guys thought of it. I'm really interested to know what you think of him was Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Now, in pre-season, we saw him, bombing forward a lot. He tried to do this on this occasion, but Bologna had him tied down. And to me, he was really, really ineffective, actually. So I don't know. I was left after the game thinking, was he even playing? That was one player that he kind of, for me, was almost invisible. Leao had a bad game. I will say that. But again, great. You can have a bad game, but still remember. I think he hit the bar, even though he had a bad game. Now
Yeah,
that
he
to
had a
him
few
is
good runs. Yeah.
yeah. So even though he has a bad game, he can do that. But imagine, the fact that we now are capable of generating more chances throughout the pitch. I think it should mean we should score more goals throughout the year. Um, I really hope that Pulisic, really gets that confidence up and scores a lot of goals for us. It'd be lovely to see that. I've got nothing against the guy, although I prefer to see him in the central position. Um, but yeah, the Ruben Loftus-Cheek question was an interesting one because I don't know how much of that was him being completely bypassed when Bologna were attacking us so much, and how much of that was part of it because I did see a lot of, I saw Leao at left back position sometimes trying to collect the ball. So what's going on there? Is that this gap that we keep talking about that we have? And I want to know what you guys also think of Krunich's game because I didn't feel that he protected the back four very well, but maybe it was just me.
So yeah, I'll let Shane take that. I mean, Shane, we spoke about Krunic a lot, and what do you think about
Mhm.
midfield now? Because this is, you could say, almost a brand new midfield, yeah, except for Krunic, who you could say in 2 seasons ago he would have been on the bench, but still getting a fair share of games. But now it's Reindeers. We've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, guys who just uh, stepped into the squad and are starting. From the first game they're starting. So what do you think of our midfield situation?
Yeah, so it's still early days, but I know I had said a couple of podcasts ago just how excited I was about Rangers. I think the guy is I think I'll get shot here. I think the guy is a huge. Um, he's he's a really positive player. Everything I've seen from him, especially in the attacking quarter, he does ridiculously well. He's very aggressive. He presses a lot. He can pass the ball. He can set up attacks. He just looks to me to be far more of a of an attacking threat compared to what we had last season. I'm really impressed with the kid. I think he's going to be great. He's going to be a future star for me. In terms of Krunic, though, it's kind of like, what do you say? It's I have I like him as a utility player. He does his job adequate. He's very average, but he does his adequate job very well for the most part, right? So he's nothing flashy, but into I think well, it's good to have a utility player there. I don't think we should be relying on him to start. I don't think it's going to be the situation in the next game. I think Musa was bought for a reason. From what I've seen of him, though, like obviously looking at YouTube compilations, I don't think he's a huge increase on what we had last season in terms of quality. I could be wrong, but yeah, Krunic
But
though was
on that
average.
on that thought, Shane, I mean, we just biding time, right? When Benacer is back, and okay, he's back, he needs to get used to the way of things, but that's his spot, really, right? Do you agree with that?
Well, his spot might be in Saudi Arabia come the winter.
Oh, that's quite the prediction there.
Well,
Someone please
no,
clip this.
because yeah, no, because there was he was being looked at, so that could happen. But ideally, yes. I don't think Krunic isn't someone. So there's two huge weak links in this squad for me. Huge, really big ones. Krunic is the starter is one. I think we should be looking at a more specialized player. You don't need to have a generalized player in that. You know, you need 11 players that are great in the position that they play. Krunic is a player that's good in a few different positions, but not great. So we should be breaking away from that. Calabria, he's done. You know, send him to Bologna. He's we're getting maybe one or two good games a season. I don't know why people are still um, are still so on board with this guy, because I see nothing but a very average player. So him and Calabria, I think that more than likely I would like to see them go come. Well, I don't think they'll go in the winter time, right? Because this management team, they don't like to change things too much during the mid season. So I think it's going to be maybe next summer, but I think we'll be looking at a quality, hopefully a quality center midfielder or CDM, which would be great. I would definitely go for Dominguez from Bologna, and then for right back, I don't know. There's a
Just
host of
anyone.
names. Anyway, Krunic, you might have to sell him then.
Yeah, but on that point, and I just want to raise what happened during the game. So I think it was in the 70th minute. Pioli, you got to wait until 70th minute to see a change from Pioli, right? So he actually changed out the whole right hand side as well as Giroud. So Giroud came out for Okafor, Pulisic came off for Chukwueze, Ruben Loftus Cheek came off for Pobega, and Calabria, yes, he did come off for Kalulu. So Pioli does recognize, I think, because in my opinion, it has to be very extreme for Pioli to remove him, even if it's a 70th minute thing. Because we've seen him actually put players in on the 80th minute. So that's that's where the insult really comes in. But at the
We've
70th
seen
minute,
we've seen him put Lazetic on in
yeah, the
the
90th
85th
minute.
minute when we're losing.
So he's hoping for something. But yeah, you're right, Shane. And I think it's just more than Calabria. When Calabria, along with Loftus Cheek, are not doing well, that whole right hand side becomes so exposed. And I think, if I remember the game correctly, all the attacks of Bologna came down that side. And that's where they were getting their shots. And one thing I really want to point out about Calabria, and I hope you guys saw this, he leaves so much space between himself and the attacker that the attacker it is just like look waiting for his players to get in position for that cross. I don't know why Calabria is not closing these guys down. Don't get exposed. Yes, we know you're slow, Mr. Calabria, because I think he got a leg transplant from a family of snails or something like that. But he needs to be able to put the pressure so that the attackers, are pressured into like, okay, passing it back or making a stupid mistake or, running it out of the pitch.
At least then the attacker can get past them faster, because the attacker is just going to get past them anyway. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. But this is why I want to ask both of you in terms of our defending phase. In my opinion, it's still weak. Yeah, so we've had some, I think, a bit of luck. And by the way, there's even one time that I remember during the game where Reindeers was in the box, and I think that he helped recover one ball. He helped to clear it, I think. But what is the state of our defense? And what hopes do you have for this new kid? What's his name? Pellegrino?
Oh, Pellegrino. Yeah.
That's a good what hopes do you have for this kid in terms of trying to somewhat shore up that defense? Because yeah, you're right. As John you mentioned, a better team could have easily scored those chances. Yeah, put a better player. Those are goals that will be considered. I mean, John, what are your thoughts of seeing that our defense? Because to me, it hasn't improved at all.
Okay, so I just want to qualify this. It was the first game of the season.
Okay.
So I know. I just want to qualify it this way because I was very concerned with some of the moves that Tomori was doing too. I saw him trying to do a trick by the byline, which gave the ball away to Bologna, who then created a chance on goal. There was no need for any of that. He literally could have blasted the ball out of play. He could have just kicked it up the pitch towards their goalkeeper. He could have done anything, but he tried to do a cutback. I don't understand a guy who, with Kalulu, formed a centre-back partnership that brought us the title, how the performance has dropped so much. And I don't get it, because he's got all the pace. We know he's got the ability, but something's not quite right there. And I don't know what it is. We always thought that it was because he had Tatarusano behind him that he lost a lot of confidence when we had that big spell. We were thinking we're conceding all these goals because the two have no community. You could see them shouting at each other.
Yeah,
now everyone, you remember, right? Now we've literally got the back line that we're supposed to have, and yet the errors being made are really serious, like really serious. And as I said, a better strike force would have slotted some of those chances away. So I don't know whether someone needs to just pull Tomori aside and say, look, just do things simple. Go back to doing things simple and make the correct decisions. Don't try and overplay, because that's what it feels to me like he's trying to do. Now with Pellegrino, I don't know the kid. I'm just trying to look him up, actually. Let me have a look on Transfer Market.
I don't think anyone knows this kid. I think this is kind of one of those Mancada type moves.
Yeah, this is Malik Thiaw before he started for us. I mean, this is the same picture that we got, right? No one knew him. Everyone thought that, okay, maybe he's some sort of prospect that we can develop, but the chance might come soon. For Thiaw, I think the chance came like middle of the season, middle of last season. And he said, you're starting every game now.
Yeah, so 3.5 million from Platense. Okay, he's Argentinian. Oh, he's citizenship. He's also got Italian citizenship. Okay.
Yeah, he does. Yes.
And he's a centre back. And then we've got, of course, Davide Bartesaghi, who is going to be kept on.
I'm really excited about that, by the way.
Yeah,
I really like that. Yeah.
So the kid is what, 17, 18 years old. Looking at this, obviously I've seen him in the friendlies. He's got quite a bit and he's a big unit, 1.93 meters, and he plays also centre back. So he gives us a bit of flexibility there potentially.
And we got Simon Kjaer.
We've got Simon Kjaer. Well, yeah,
sitting on the bench because he's too old.
Yeah, but I think this is like a common theme, and here it is. It's this fact that we can see that Giroud, for example, he can play one half and he can give everything for one half, but early in the second half he should have been subbed, because he literally was being carried and we started to sink. That's a pretty straightforward decision, and Pioli should have just gone in and said, All right, we've got Okafor. Put him on. Let's try and go at them with pace and do some. He could clearly see that there was a lot of problems on the right wing. He literally changed, as you said, he changed the entire right wing. Now, I did think that you're not going to like this, but once Ruben Loftus-Cheek was changed for Pobega,
Pobega.
I thought we were better shielded.
Yeah, Pobega. Yeah,
I did.
I agree.
Yeah. So you can say it's, and Pobega did also go forward and have a shot on goal, and he had a shot on target. So
Yeah, we know he can score those. Yeah, you're right.
So we have to really just assess players and say, look, you're not performing. Make those subs, be proactive, make those subs nice and early so that we stop these avalanche coming at us. I still worry that purely, I think we said they were having a drinks break during the game. And we said, watch. This is purely time. It was 74th minute or something like that. This is purely time. Watch him make the subs. What did he do? He made all the subs at that point. It's mental. Giroud has no business playing that length. It's almost like the guy can give us a performance if you're playing correctly. I really think he could, he could give you, 10, 15 goals a season. He could do that, but he needs to be played correctly. If you keep playing him 90 minutes, he will break down. And I don't still, we have to sign a striker. I still say that we need to sign a striker, guys.
Okay, so I mean, Shane, on that Mercato moment, think about it. Yeah, we got Origi, who apparently doesn't want to leave. We still have,
Yeah.
Lazic is gone already. I forgot. We still have Colombo. I don't know if the deal is going to be done for him. We got Okafor. We got Giroud. So we got 4 guys, and you count
we've-
5 if you want to put Krunic there, which I would be
Probably,
surprised
yeah.
if Pioli
Yeah.
did that. So yes, Giroud cannot do the whole 90. I agree with that. He's not Zlatan. And in case anyone has forgotten, but I don't think you have, Zlatan at Giroud's age was still doing 90 minutes. Yeah. So that was the age that Zlatan was still, but that is Zlatan. Yeah. So I think it's different. But what do you think about this number 9 position? Because it's ever since Zlatan got that injury, everyone's been talking about it. Giroud came to plaster it, and it's not. Maybe I'm putting him a bit too low. He's not a plaster. He's a damn good player who got us a Scudetto. But now we having the similar sort of discussion now is that Giroud is starting to show some signs. But what's next? It's supposed to be Lazetic because I think he's supposed to be grown into that role and is being on loan. Okafor is there, but we didn't see much of Okafor during that game, and I know he joined a bit late, but even in preseason, not quite there. I mean, how much longer are we going to have this? And do you think that this management has enough mileage in the Mercato to actually say, okay, fine, we're going to get a ready-made striker. Here he is.
I think so. I have to give kudos to the new management. So I did say when Tonali was sold and Maldini was sacked, I did kind of say, well, okay, if they get backup, if they get players for every position that we're lacking in. So if you think about it, Messias is gone. As Salamakers is he's looking like he's gone. Origi, wow, okay. I mean,
you gotta admire the fight of this guy. He's fighting off the pits.
I don't get it. I don't get it. CDK has been loaned out. So I think that they have made an awful lot of very smart, sensible moves. So I have to give them a lot of credit. We are though still missing a good number 9 as a backup or as a starter over Giroud. Because let's be honest, Okafor is good, but I like any game I've seen him in, even the friendlies, he doesn't strike me as a type of player that's similar to Giroud. You know what I mean?
But Pioli wanted him.
Pioli wants a lot of things. He also wants Krunic to be his son-in-law, but this, I think this is the way it's going. But I think Okafor doesn't strike me as that kind of player, right? So, news is that they're still working to get Taremi from Porto, which would be a magnificent move because he's just like Giroud in the terms of like what he does in the box. Like he knocks it down, he flicks it down, but he's very good with his back to goal. He gets himself into really dangerous situations. He would be great. I would dare say as well, he'd probably challenge Giroud as well for his starting spot. I'm that confident in this player. So
That's quite a tall order. Okay.
I'm telling you, like this guy is, and like he is, look, he's knocking on a bit. I think he's 31, 32,
Experience wise,
something.
yes. Yeah.
But experience, so and he's
31,
been
I think.
31, and he's been playing in the Champions League, so he's got some serious quality with this player. So, like, if we got him, I'd just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. They've won this Mercato. If winning the Mercato is a thing, they've really increased the depth and the starting quality of the team, especially in the attacking phase, and and midfield. That that'll have to be judged over the season. The reason why I'm saying the midfield has to be judged over the season is we don't know if it's deep enough yet, because we don't know if Musa has quality. I doubt he is. I don't feel Krunic is starting quality. I know that. So
Matter of
I
time,
don't.
Benitez will be back as well. So
But Benacer as well, so that's true. I mean, we'll have to see how Loftus Cheek and Reindeers do. Uh, Obviously, our defense is going to be a big problem. I think people are going a bit too crazy over how quote unquote, well we played against a very average team, and we did what we should have been expected to do for most people. Um, and I would like to see how we play against Juve or Inter. If we keep a clean sheet against Juve or Inter, I'd be very surprised, let alone if we beat them. But the problem is if you get scored against by Juve and Inter first, good luck, you know. So I don't know, a couple of takeaways there. I have to see how it's going to go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, Shane. I was kind of thinking that if you look at Inter and what they've been doing in the market, it's very much based on trying to get players that will deliver now, because they're so desperate for money that they need to win competitions in order to pay wages, basically. So, I mean, I saw yesterday, what do you call it? Alexis Sanchez is coming back
That's
to.
a shock.
I know, but that's such a like.
Um, yeah, right. And so, if you look at what we're doing, our market is very much. I mean, actually, I was looking at Reindeers just out of interest. Do you know how old he is?
I saw
Early
he's
Top
20s, I think. 21.
24, isn't he?
25, guys. He's
25.
Oh,
25.
25.
Is he
I thought younger than
25?
that.
He's 25. So I think that's why I was looking at him, because he's got a smile, he's got a youthful exuberance. I kind of thought this guy's 21, something like that,
Yeah.
22. But no, Tijani Reindeers is 25 years old, and so maybe we should be expecting him to do well, because he's much more grown into his position. If you think, I'm not joking, he's older than Salamakers. Yeah,
Salamakers has grown
pointing
into his
I'm
position as well. He's
I'm
grown
just
so well.
pointing
He's
this
like
out.
a fucking weed that you can't get out of the ground. He's grown that well.
But you've got, you're kind of looking at the profile of the players that we brought in. They're all relatively young, coming up to the peak of their careers. Some of them are exactly like, I'm sorry to mention the name, Moneyball. It's players that could come back to a much greater level. They have potential if they can avoid injury. Um, so you can kind of see there's a plan there for the long term. With other clubs, it's very much like we need to win now urgently. We're really urgent because we're in such a desperate financial situation. We need to win now. And Inter, if you look at their squad, are very much, going that way. And
It's
but
a,
they've got Turam.
well, yeah,
But
but
they
they
did get
also have,
Turam.
what is that? A 300? Is it 300 million a loan due for 300 million in 2024 in March?
I don't
Yeah, but
know.
I've
I
heard
think
that
it is
news
a
before. I mean, when are they going to pay it? Are they
yeah.
going to restructure the loan? Anything can happen.
Zhang is just trying to unload his Bitcoin right now, because we've seen how
Well,
this goes. But the problem is I don't know. So I know I said this in the Milan Weekly Podcast Patreon group. Shout out, by the way, great content, great channel. Check him out. But I do. So there's a huge double standard for me, right, when it comes to how finances are looked at in Italy. So Milan rightfully got put through the ringer, right? When Yang Hong Lee came and made all those ridiculous purchases that none of them worked out. But so we got put through the ringer, we got kicked out of Europe, we got all this, right? But when I look at Zhang's trajectory with Inter, it's kind of he's doing it at a much more aggressive level and putting Inter in far more debt, but more slowly. And I'm kind of going, so is it just because? So is it if you go ahead and put the club in debt in one go, it's an issue. But if you slowly run it into the ground, it's not a problem. I don't understand the double standards. It's crazy to me. I mean,
Yeah,
they're in a situation where they might get repossessed in March.
yeah, yeah. So
Yep.
it says here, Inter Milan in March 2023, there was a headline saying Inter Milan 390 million euros in debt, highest of all Serie A clubs,
That's it.
and yet they're still getting players.
This is it. Like, and I mean, and keep in mind as well, like I think it's easy for us to look at it, right? Because obviously we're not Inter fans, right? But if I look at any club and I see they let a very good goalkeeper go that they got on a free. They let him go a year after they got him on a free for a good fee, right? Because he's a good keeper. He's
Yeah,
he deserved what he went for. But if I see that, so if I see my club taking in a player for free, say junking him a year later, and then investing in a 30 what is he 31 32 year old Jan Sommer from Bayern
mm.
for like 3 or 4 million, I know what way my club is going, and it's not going in a positive direction, because that to me tells me that the club just doesn't have money.
Shane, let me throw my 2 cents on it. And yeah, I know what you're saying, and all that absolutely makes sense. And
He's
a lot of people have,
34, Sommer. He's 34, just so you know.
And he's not Onana, you
yeah.
know.
No.
My belief is that the ends justifies the means. Yeah. So if they win the Scudetto, if they get the second star, by how remote that possibility is, if they make the Champions League final again or even win it, no one's gonna care about all this. This is the point that I've always been making, not only on this channel, but
Mm.
in the Milan Weekly podcast. Shout out to them again. Is that there has to be conviction behind what they're doing. If Zhang feels that this is the best way to get trophies, and for him, okay, let's face it, even if Inter go bust, it's not really going to cost him in terms of he's not going to be living on the street. Let's face it, yeah, he's that rich to not be living on the street. But the value of success here cannot be understated. We, to a certain extent, are also living on the value of success from Berlusconi. We wear that patch for the 7 UCLs. Do you think Berlusconi cared about finances? And I know it ultimately cost him, but do you think he was caring about the balance sheet when he was making the transfers? Guys didn't come cheap then, and they don't come cheap now. So if you think that's the best way to get success, by all means. We're doing it a different way, and I hope that we're doing it the right way, in terms that we will get our second star first, we'll win the next Champions League. This is what I want, but I have to believe it. It can't be like, okay, we're making all these prudent purchases. It's not going to cost us too much, but success wise, not so. I don't want to be that club, because we know what those clubs are like, and we have them in our own league. We got the Sassuolos, we got the Atlantas. We just want to be number 4 in come game 38. I want to be number 1 come game 38, and I want to stay number 1 for like multiple seasons after that, or maybe forever. That's what I want. But I mean, this is the thing about finances. It works, yeah, no doubt it works. But as someone did say in the NWP chat, that's not why we started supporting the club, right? Let's face it.
Yeah, that's
No.
true.
You're
But
absolutely right.
keep in mind the difference is that Berlusconi did invest a ton into the club,
Yeah.
right? But I think the difference is that if you see your owner investing into the club, and you know how hard it is. So if your owner is from China, right? and it's now very hard to get money out of China. And it's actually coincided suddenly with a lot of money that hasn't been put into Inter. By the owners. It's been in the structure of taking loans, right? So it's not like it's his own money that he's playing with, right? So I think there's a bit of a difference here. So I and again, I'm not trying to say what they're doing is wrong, and definitely success should always be paramount, right? And I think that's what Zhang does very well, like because you can tell that he's driven to make Inter successful, and no one faults him on that. But the problem is though, I mean, imagine like a 300 and something loan, 300 million loan, right? Um, that's coming due. Like, is it that easy to I don't know. It doesn't seem sustainable to me. So the question is what happens when it stops? Does he
Shane,
then go and get another loan?
you've played Football Manager, yeah? I know
That's
you
it.
have, yeah, and I know
That's it.
you're good at it.
That's
You
it.
know there's that event in Football Manager that you get a big buyout from a club,
Mm,
or from a very rich owner. It can happen. This is one thing that I'm worried about. Yes, I wish doom on Inter. I hope that they get relegated. But them being in this mess, someone else might see an opportunity. There could be that rich guy who's like worth, I don't know what his family's worth, like a trillion, comes in and says, "Okay, I'll buy Inter. You guys are such a terrible mess, and I'll rebuild it." And then automatically, all their monetary problems are gone in one season. We
but you
Our
also,
way is that we resolve it over many seasons, but there are solutions to this. We've seen it happen before.
yeah, but you see, the thing is you have to look at it from the perspective of unless the guy is an Inter fan, why would you buy the club? So if you can afford to buy Inter for, I don't know, let's say it's 1 billion, right? And 300 million of that is debt, right? So 300 million of that, you have to pay the ex-owners fees basically. So the ex-owners debt before you even inherit the club, right? So you can either do that or you can just buy a small club in England where you know you'll make way more money anyway. So what would you do?
Yeah, but
I
these
would.
rich guys, they don't know how to think. Some of them, they just don't care. This is my problem.
Mm.
Some of them, they really don't care. They say
That's
I
finance.
think,
it could
guys,
happen, but
I think you're talking about different types of owners here. Come on. So
mm,
we're talking
Yeah.
about Napoli's owner, Inter's owner. Those are fans of those clubs that want to primarily they just want those clubs to succeed. Our owners are different because they have bought the club. They've brought it with a lot of debt. They borrowed money from Elliott to do so. They have to make money. They simply have to make money. I mean, so you're you know what, Hasni, I do understand where you're coming from because ultimately, I think the point you made a while ago was like, hey, who made the Champions League final? Which of the clubs made the Champions League final? Yes, the debt-ridden one made the final because they have the better players, and people become fans because of great performances. All of that I agree with, and you're right. A rich owner could suddenly pop up out of nowhere and buy them out. Equally, a rich owner could come in and do the same to us. They
I
could do
hope
the
so.
same to us. Yeah, well, we all hope so. But
Hashtag
Berlusconi was.
InvestCorp, come back.
Oh, don't start, don't start, man. That's like a grenade. Um, but
Mbappe is
Berlusconi was
flying in tomorrow.
Berlusconi transformed not only the players we bought, but how the club was run. He literally transformed the structure of the club. So you can't. He's not a standard type of owner that anyone has ever had in Italian football. He was remarkable for the amount of time he stayed around and the kind of things that he did for the club. And when he sold it, I'd have a discussion regarding who he sold it to and due diligence on who he sold it to for the best of the club. That I would have a discussion with anybody about.
He could have sold it to himself. I mean, that wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
He could have, but there's something, for example, that
allegedly.
they talk about in the Premier League where you have to check that the owners are good and proper individuals or something like that. There's like a check that you need to do. I
Yeah,
would
that
have
held up the
liked
Newcastle deal,
Berlusconi.
I think.
Well, you surprised? I'm not surprised. But once they
Okay.
realized it was the public investment fund, it was like, oh yeah, go ahead, buy the whole place. You're the richest club in the world all of a sudden. So yeah, it's two types of owners. One that is trying to literally has to make money, has to generate profit, and they realize that profit comes with success, but they cannot do it by blowing money right now because of who they are, right? They can't do it by going under that way. Zhang is a passionate fan of Inter Milan and wants to see them win, but the risk he's taking, as you guys have pointed out, is very serious. It's got basically he has to raise enough money every single window to be able to pay off the interest on that loan. And so like Onana sale did something, and then you thought, oh, is that money gone in to buy a lot of players? It hasn't. Why is that? Well, how much do you think their wages are? Juventus, how much are their wages, by the way, for their players? They've got a bloody impressive.
Good luck finding that out.
No, yeah, on the books it's like €5 each or something a
€5.
week.
Yeah.
On the books, that's what it says, but in reality, it's probably like 10 million each per year. Probably that's what those guys are. And you kind of think, okay, that squad is now dangerous. I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of another topic slightly related, but what you thought of our opposition in the first week of the league, because I did watch Juventus, I did watch Napoli, and I did watch Atalanta, and I was impressed by how Juventus took apart Udinese, actually. And I wanted to know what you guys thought of it.
Okay, Shane, you can kick it off.
I think I didn't give Juventus enough credit. I think they're very dangerous. I think Allegri is kind of suddenly decided that, playing an awful type of defensive-minded, just atrocious football to watch. I think he's kind of freed up the reins a bit. I think they're going to be dangerous this year. Napoli as well don't seem to have changed much. Now the question is can they keep it going for another season? Potentially, yes. So I think getting into the top four is not going to be an easy thing this year. It's going to be a hell of a close race. I'm just hoping that it's something along the lines of like Roma Lazio maybe imploding at some point, right? So like, Mourinho can do what Mourinho does and, piss off the fans and then get sacked. And Sarri ball doesn't usually scale over a full season. So I hopefully just on virtue of that we could get in, but I'm especially Juventus. But it's strange because like when I looked at the results and I looked at the highlights, I looked at the Juventus midfield and it doesn't really seem. It doesn't seem like on paper they don't seem like a squad that should be, doing that to Udinese. And maybe it still is too early in the season to be able to give a good judgment on it. But yeah,
Shane,
Hmm.
just to point out, tomorrow Juventus play against Bologna, so we'll have a good direct comparison. I'll be curious about that one.
That's a fair point because it could just be, okay, they're rough for the game. Udinese weren't, and to an extent, Udinese did shoot themselves in the foot, right? So let's be honest. But yeah, it's going to be really tight. It's going to be great for neutrals to watch the league this year because I think it is far more open. I can't see Napoli doing anything like they did last season. I can see them winning it. Don't get me wrong, but I can't see them, not with like, such a huge points differential. So
Say on Sunday.
Let me add one thing about Juventus.
Just one other
yeah.
thing, right? And this is why it's really interesting me because I think what Pioli's got to do now is he's just going to be, high press, high intensity, just go for it. And that's great, right? And that's great. But the question is it actually going to work in this area? It's going to be really interesting to find out.
Okay, I just want to add one thing about Juventus, and I think it's very important because, yeah, you could say in terms of our top four or even Scudetto rivals, they are one of the teams. They don't have any European football at all this season. So that team is getting
big. That's really big, yeah.
A clean rest. So they can go full intense, or you could say the team's on steroids, just running their hearts out but they're getting a nice long break after each game. We have to worry about the UCL because everyone knows we want to do well. Yeah. And I think if we want to turn a profit, I think we need to at least get out of the group. We also got to play that crappy Coppa Italia. I don't know why Pioli likes to field some of our best players in that Coppa Italia, but I think he's still going to do it. So the number of games that plays a big difference because this is how we want Scudetto, I think. Yeah, we're playing one game a week. Everyone was rested, come back, recover. That's how Tomori and Kalulu kept their clean sheets. And even that, we didn't win every one of those games, I remember. Yeah, and we had a few struggles, especially against Salernitana. So yeah, that's going to be one big impact. You know, how is it that a team like Juve can get that sort of break on the way to the Scudetto? Because the way that I see it, if they win it this season, and they could, if they win it this season, Juve can be back. You know, they can be back in a really big way. They can go and do their own that mess again, that creative accounting. They can do it because they'll take the 10 points. They'll win 3 trophies in a row. It's easily make back that fine and whatever money they lost. Well, let's face it, yeah, they're not going to win the UCL. They're never going to win it. I think not while I'm alive. I think. Please, no one clip
No.
this as well, because I might have just jinxed it. But there's one game that I wanted to ask you guys about, and that's actually the upcoming game. And yeah, John, you mentioned you see the other games because we're playing Torino next. Torino were
Mm.
held to a 0-0 draw against
Oh,
Cagliari.
oh, it was
And
dreadful.
I want to point out
Oh,
that Torino is a team that we struggled against. They
yeah.
were really difficult last season. Okay, so they beat us twice, if I remember. Yeah, they beat us once in the league, we were playing away, if I'm not mistaken, and they beat us in the Copa. So that was high embarrassing. We crashed out from the first round.
So,
So
so I pointed this out in the Milan Weekly podcast. Again, shout out to them as well.
yeah.
So on their chat, but they haven't beaten us at home since like 1985 or something insane like that. So I know records are made to be broken, but I think the way that they played last week, the way that we play, the way that we can attack, all it takes is uh, a half decent performance from Leao on the one wing and someone coming from the right wing, whether it's Pulisic or Chucky, and they're going to be overwhelmed, in my opinion. So I don't want to be super bullish and say like a big scoreline. I'll tell you what the bookmakers are predicting as the most likely result. Do you want to know? Are you curious? The most
Sure,
likely
yeah.
result, according to the bookmakers, is 1-0 to Milan. That is the most likely, the shortest odds result. I actually see it. I'm going to predict 3-1 to Milan.
Okay,
That's what I'm
okay,
going to
okay.
predict. A bit more of a gap. But I think the true test shouldn't be this game for us. We should be getting the 3 points. When you look at the first 10 games that we are facing a lot of big opponents. So we must collect these points. We simply must. Um, the big test comes after, I think it's just after the international break, if I'm right. So I think we've got Inter coming up, but I need to check the match
No,
days. Am I right,
after
guys?
Torino, we got Roma on the
Roma. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. And some on other channels are predicting Roma to be potential Serie A champions. Someone who will not remain, who shall remain nameless. They have a nice lineup. They have a very nice lineup. Don't get me wrong, but Serie A champions with that defensive setup. Huh, okay, well, we'll wait and see. If they do that, I'll be really impressed with that individual's predictions. Um, but yeah, I don't see them as being. I see them as being potentially fifth, fifth, fourth, fifth place. You know that there'll be a fight because their squad is quite nice. They've bought quite well, um, but I don't see them winning Serie A. But yeah, Roma could be a tough one because you know what they did to us last year. Couple of subs, couple of Pioli subs, and we literally collapsed through the floor and walked away with a draw that felt like a defeat. So yeah, no, I think we'll win against Torino.
How about you, Shane? What are your expectations for the next two games? So we have Torino next, and we have Roma.
So I think we'll absolutely batter Torino, to be honest. I think I was looking at their squad and it's similar to the Bologna one. It doesn't really appeal of any quality whatsoever, right? So I'm saying a high scoring game, just based on if we play like we did in Bologna and just be very aggressive and physical. I'd say like 4-1.
Do you guys
5
remember when we beat that team 7-0? It was Torino.
Rebic, man. Robo
Yeah,
Rebic.
Rebic. I think he got a hat trick in that game, man.
He did. He did. No, but Roma is going to be a tricky one. So it's not Roma the squad I'm afraid of. It's Mourinho I'm very afraid of. So
And
Yeah,
Dybala, they're all back, by the way. Yeah, they won. I think he's out through suspension. I think the first game, but yeah, those guys are back.
going forward they are good, but like I'm trying to kind of work it out in my head, and this is kind of it will be a good test leading up to Inter 2 weeks later. So it's kind of like if we can get a clean sheet against Roma, right? We can kind of say, okay, this is good. This is a line in the sand. We have some idea about how good we are, right? And then we'll see how we go against Inter. The problem is, though, is knowing Pioli, right? He's going to do something like try and change it up to be, some tactical masterclass. Like he's going to go in with like the 4-2-3-1 again, or something like that, right? And then we bomb, and then the players get, the morale gets beaten around the place. The next thing, then we have to go and play Inter. So that could possibly happen. I'm always worried about Mourinho because remember the 2-2 game last
Yeah,
season? I mean, it's like typical Mourinho, wasn't it? Like 2 set pieces. We were 2-0 up, 2 set pieces, 2-2. Like, it's that kind of you're dealing with that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So I would always be a bit concerned. But we shall see. We shall see. But I think that, yeah, as you said though, John, I think the really good acid test is going to be the Roma game. Torino, I don't really see any problem with. I think they should be comfortably destroying that team.
I think you
good to
guys are.
hear.
I think you guys are putting Torino a little bit down because I mean they still have quality in the squad. I mean, isn't the Wilfred Singo still with them?
Actually, that's a good point. Hold on.
And
I did check
he's
the squad
yeah,
earlier.
I'm looking at their predicted lineup for our game. He's not in that squad. He's not in the starting 11 at least.
okay.
In the predicted lineup. Now that's one football's predicted lineup, but they've got Rodriguez, a left back. Remember him?
Yeah,
Oh,
Buongiorno.
he was Teo before Teo.
There you go. Buongiorno, a centre back. Schurz at right back. They got
Ah, no,
Bellanova, Ricci, Ilic.
Singo went to
Yeah.
Monaco.
Oh, he moved. Oh, okay, I
Oh.
didn't
He's
know.
moved. He's moved. So there we
Up
go.
front, they've got Sanabria, Radonic, and Vlasic.
That's not
So-
right.
Oh,
man.
Vlasic.
Yeah.
The guy who we linked with, I think about two seasons ago, I think, yeah.
And
For the
keep in
Campbell.
mind, like they had,
Yeah, well, he would be there.
but they also did buy Ilic from Verona, who's a good quality player, I thought, for them last season.
They've
Yeah.
got Ilic at centre midfield, according to this. Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
have, oh God help him, they have Raul Bellanova in right back, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, from
Right.
Inter. Yeah.
Yeah, but imagine Leao getting a run at him. Like, I mean, he's such an average player. Like,
Now, come on. If we're saying, guys, that we are top four material, we have to go at teams like this.
yeah,
Yeah.
We've got to say enough of the stuff from last year where we were just dropping points left, right, and center against these teams. We have to stop that. And the whole point of having all of these new attacking players is that we should be able to create plenty of chances against a team like this. If we cannot break down a team like this, we're in trouble, guys. It's as simple as that. So my opinion, let's be positive, get in there and smash them to pieces and move on to Roma because we've got bigger things to deal with. But we have to take these guys seriously. I hope Pioli does, because one of the things I've always worried about is that he looks too far ahead and he doesn't concentrate on the opponent. And I saw that last year when we had Champions League games and Serie A games beforehand, and we always seem to just do so badly. I think
you see, and this is why I am quietly hopeful, just even about the top four. I'm very hopeful because I think that the players that we've got and the way that we're playing now should beat that annoying low press. Like you see, so they should be able to, and I'm confident about that. So I think we'll just hover up those points that we missed out on last year. The problem
Yeah,
is
it's
like
just whether we keep a clean sheet, Shane.
this is
On
it.
the other,
Like it's great saying, oh, we can destroy Torino 4-0, or we can hammer a
that's
very
why I said
average
three
Bologna side.
one. That's why I said 3-1. You see,
Mm,
because I think we will concede. I think we've
mm.
got open gates at the back for people to just come at us. I just looking at their squad. You know, I hope I'm not putting the jinx on this, but looking at their squad, I just
Someone
don't
clip
see
this.
it. Ah, Shane, why did you say that? You said 4-1. So what the hell, man?
No, I
In
said
my
4-0. I'm
4-0, even worse.
I'm being just really focused there. No, I honestly I think
Yeah,
it's
Husney, what do
not
you
the
reckon the
smaller
score
teams
is?
I'm worried about, it's the bigger ones.
Hmm.
I'm gonna put it down to 2-0. I mean, any game
2-0.
that didn't score, like, especially in the first game, I think they're gonna come out strong. So they know that, okay, the first game they didn't start too well. So the second game, every team's gonna have to at least win it. Yeah. No matter if you're like destined for Serie B relegation, you're gonna at least win some games. You just don't want it to be against us. This is the problem that I have.
Not
They could
against
put on
us
that
for the first
spectacular performance,
time.
and it's always against us.
Yeah, not against us for the first time since 1985. There's a couple of things to keep in mind here, but also we have to always remember we're AC Milan. Every
Yeah.
smaller club that plays against us will always
Wins.
play. No, I wasn't going to say. Every smaller club will always push harder against the big clubs because they want to prove something. It's just happened too many times to ignore it, right? But I think we should beat these guys. So hopefully next time we speak, we'll be looking at a win under our belts against Torino.
Yeah, we got a
That's what
comment,
I'm.
guys, from Christian Pasmino, other than Forza Krunic. He's asking, is Lukaku coming? What do you guys think? Yeah?
Is Lukaku
What's the
coming?
odds on that?
Oh,
Does
John, you
anyone
know the
want
odds on this. What are
Lukaku
the
to
odds on
come is the
that?
question.
oh my God! Odds on Lukaku coming. Do you want me to
Yeah.
check that? Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, well, I don't even know. Like Italian Serie A transfer odds. I don't think I can find something as obscure as that.
Yeah,
No,
Lukaku.
I don't think I can check on that. But I'd say, Christian, to your question, I've heard a terrible rumor. I keep hearing this terrible rumor that this is being left the last day of our transfer window as a splash, and there's a big striker incoming. And the rumor I heard 2 weeks ago was that it was Lukaku. I hope that everything else that's been going on in the meantime, with you've read the newspapers where they've gone and his lawyers are going around Italy and his agent going around Italy trying to sell him to everybody, apparently all over Europe actually, and no
Yeah.
one's taking him up on it. um
Well, he's
I'm
about two
hoping that
stone overweight. That's the problem. Like he doesn't seem to me to be a type of
yeah
well
I don't
well
I
grounded
don't want him.
individual.
I don't
I
want
don't
him at
know why
Milan.
we're bothering. Like don't get me wrong,
John is
he has
jinxing it.
shown he's
uh,
shown in his early days in Inter, he has shown he has quality. But the thing is if you had the choice between for me, if I had a choice between Taremi at FC Porto, who is not going to, be doing all sorts of wild shit on Instagram, right, and is going to be doing his job, or then you get like a 2 stone overweight player. Sorry, 2 stone is like 28 pounds. A player that's like 28 pounds overweight who's going to be doing ridiculous shit on Instagram for the same price. What do you do? They're both there to achieve the same function, and I don't think Lukaku's going to be better than Taremi. So
no, I don't. Yeah. I'm looking at Taremi's numbers, and wow. I mean, did you guys see like his goals at Porto? 150 games, 80 goals.
And
I mean,
people will say like, oh, well, it's the Portuguese league, right? But the thing
they will say
is
that.
he
Yeah,
scores in the UCL
yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
CDK did
Like,
the same.
I
Just
know, so I
saying.
don't see CDK didn't score.
Listen, CDK is a baller. Don't. We all know CDK is a baller now. Captain Belgium, stop it.
Captain Belgium.
No,
I
but I
thought we
mean,
were talking about Milan players.
Yeah.
let's talk about Lukaku.
Oh,
Yeah? The Lukaku
yeah.
possibility. I mean, look
Okay.
at his profile. Yeah, and
Yeah.
this is the one thing that we lack. Let's admit it. Yeah, his history aside, he has the physique, he's built, he can hold up play. I think he's got a decent amount of speed.
It would be okay. It'd be hilarious
What
to
do you
see
think he's showing on
Lukaku score against
Moncada's
Inter.
little Excel table? I think it's leaning towards Lukaku, you know.
Guys, okay, imagine it's 1-1, right? Last day of the season, it's Inter versus Milan, right? And whoever wins, let's say, wins the Serie A title. And imagine if Lukaku scored a goal, right, in the 93rd minute, right, and got Milan the Serie A title and beat Inter. Imagine the coping levels, like, you know, like it is worth it just for that, to be honest. In fact, now that I think about it, yeah, let's go for Lukaku. Fuck it.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Guys, honestly, I think Mourinho's connection with Chelsea will bring potentially Lukaku to Roma. That's my
That's
feeling.
dangerous. Yeah.
My
that is
gut
dangerous.
feeling is that. And Lukaku at Roma under a manager like Mourinho who can get into your head and make you believe anything and make you run through walls. So,
Get you
all
off
the players
Instagram.
get you off all of that stuff and do things properly. It could be dangerous there. But I think that connection might bring him to Roma. And I'm hoping Moncada, please. Taremi looks
Taremi. Taremi's a real
looks like the
deal,
right.
honestly.
He looks right for us. He looks right for us, and that would be good. Obviously, I would like a CDM as well, but I don't think that's happening. And
I don't think so.
guys, I think I want to say is that I'm not. I don't think Krunic is leaving either.
Well,
don't think
I
so.
think we all hope not. But no, we'll see. I think that, yeah, it's a weird situation because I think they've been holding out. I don't understand how Fenerbahce are trying to do this because, like, I think first they went with a really an offer of like 7 million, and then Milan said no. So then Fenerbahce came back and said, "Fine, we'll go 3 million." And I don't know how that's supposed to make sense.
No, but the important thing is that they got a deal with Krunic himself, so they've already spoken to player. I think that shows serious intent, right?
It shows that he wants a wage rise.
Okay, you can see it like that.
Because I mean, you do that, wouldn't you? Like, I mean, you would. Like, look, this is what you do in your career, right? Like, if you want to move career, and this works, everyone. So do this. Go on LinkedIn Premium, right? Sign up. Say you're looking for a job, right? LinkedIn Premium is free for 30 days, right? Say
Not
you're looking for a
LinkedIn now.
job.
I'm checking something else.
Blindside your management, right? Blindside your management with an email, right? With an email doing like showing your last three, achievements for the year or top three achievements, right? Because HR always look at LinkedIn Premium for employees of the company that they're at, and they'll see that and they'll go. So Krunic is literally doing the same thing. So
yeah, he's trying to force a higher wage. But I think Gio said this in one of Milan Weekly podcast call, and it was quite interesting that if we do end up paying him 3.5 million, that would be more than Manyan is currently being paid.
that Maignan story isn't over yet though, because they know they need to.
Oh, they've got to renew him, and they've got to
Yeah.
pay him a hell of a lot more than that. Because in my mind, he's the number one keeper in the world. But I still say, you push that, then suddenly everyone wants to get pushed up because they'll say, "Hang on a minute, how can he be getting that? I want the same." And then we're in trouble. Then we go back to being in trouble again. So I think Milan has to make a little bit of a stand. But if we want to keep him, Pioli appears very, very keen to keep him. So going to have to increase his wages somewhat and come to the middle. As you said, you negotiate and you come to somewhere in the middle because he's a squad player, shouldn't be a starting player. And but I don't know who we put in there in his place. Who was the guy you said from Bologna that you were looking at?
Dominguez.
Dominguez.
This guy, like he's a couple of caps for Argentina, right? And I just think he'd fit the mold quite well, and it makes sense if we did go for him. And apparently, that's who they want to go for if Krunic goes.
Hang on, guys. We still have Adley, okay? Has everyone completely forgotten about this kid?
Who is it? Who?
Who? Yeah, is it?
I'm gonna
Is
have to
he?
do like a free Adley dedicated podcast, okay? Because everyone,
Is Adley?
how can you
Is
guys
Adley
be
still a
talking about
thing?
targets when we got midfielders? We got plenty of them.
I know he throws a wild barbecue. I didn't realize he was actually playing stuff.
Is that
Yeah,
why they keep
apparently
him
he's
around?
convinced Pioli. Yeah, he's convinced Pioli with
No,
that
he has
barbecue.
apparently. No, he's
Yeah.
apparently no. In all seriousness, apparently Pioli wants to. He does want to keep Adley.
Yeah, so you can keep
Which
shitting
is
on him. I don't get this. I'll keep you because I like the bench warm, when I sit down.
I like your hair, Adley. I'm very
but
jealous of
do
your
you
hair,
think
my
do you
friend.
think Adley actually starts in that in
No,
the 4-3-3? He starts in Krunic position. He won't,
no, and
will
it's
he?
a shame because I think now, of course, the problem is I don't think Adley is built to be someone who's going to break up play, right? I
No, I
think
think he's more like in the maybe the Ruben Loftus-Cheek current position,
that's
or
it. I
Yeah.
even
think
the
he's far more
Tijani
skillful.
position.
I think he's
Yeah,
far more skillful, but it's kind of like, right, so does that mean then that you play him against teams that were like up by a high goal margin and he's going to be
no,
just spraying balls here and there? Because that does make sense. But the problem is Pioli then going to go, I'm going to take off Musa or Krunic. Hmm.
Definitely not Krunic.
yeah,
Or I'm going to have to take off Krunic, which is probably a no anyway. And then I'm going to have to replace him with Musa or Adley. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's the other thing as well, Shane. Will Purely put him in nice and early during a game?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. We all know what's happening there. I don't know. Maybe Adley said something. Hey, maybe because I know Italian isn't Adley's first language. Maybe he said something in like French, and Pioli misheard it and thought he
Yeah,
was like
well,
swearing at him or something.
maybe.
This is the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
If he's
I
to
think
remain, I mean, so if he remains at the club, this is like the only thing that makes sense is Pioli has to play him, but I just don't see Pioli ever playing him. And I don't think it's any fault of the player. I just
no.
don't see Pioli playing him. So if that's the case, why is he wasting his time? He should be
Yeah,
trying to get loaned out at least or go somewhere else.
yeah. I mean, he seems to have a real passion for the club. I mean, in
Mm.
terms of Adley, there's no question he seems to be quite passionate about the club.
Mm.
I'm just looking at Christian's put a lot of questions on here. I'm
Yeah.
seeing
Oh,
a good
sorry,
one here.
Christian.
Origi, the Origi question. I completely forgot about the Origi question. Now that's what the hell is he doing? He
Again, Christian, we're talking about Milan players here. Who's this Origi guy? I didn't.
No, but credit to Origi. He's trying to find a way to fight to stay. I assume not to stay on the bench, but I think he generally wants to play.
he won't be picked. That's the thing. He's been made very clear. He's not even on team sheets,
Yeah,
dude.
but I mean, I'm appreciating, or this for me personally. There's a bit of respect to the player to say that, hey, give me a chance. I'm willing to do what it takes, but you just got to give me a chance, and maybe not in a
Really, really, you feel that way? I kind of think he's more like I don't want to play, and I want to. If I stay at Milan, I won't have to play. I'll sit here, make 4.5 million a year till 2026, chilling. That's how I see it. That reaction, because I kind of think,
I'll take
if
that
you
life.
right there, you go. You see that? So hasn't he? Yeah, that's how I see that kind of response. It's more of a other players kind of go, okay, look, I really want to play. I'll move here. I don't know, Saudi Arabia or something. If he's doing it for the money, go to Saudi Arabia, make more money.
yeah, but he
Go
rejected it.
with
I think he was offered. I think was he?
he was offered, yeah, and it was Steven Gerrard. So he would have played him because they were together.
Yeah.
So that's one where okay, so you don't want to make the same money or a bit more because you're going to Saudi Arabia, but you don't want to actually play football. So you want to
No, but the
remain.
thing is it's strange, but like I would say something if he had even a somewhat successful season last year, right? Like if it was a situation where, let's say, he got 6 or 7 goals, and there was the potential that he'd be like, oh, well, maybe he was just getting his feet, and he's gonna, he wants to take off, and that's what he wants to do. But he was very ineffectual, like,
Yeah,
and he has 2 players ahead of him now in nearly every position. So where are you staying, really? Like if you should be at the prime of your career. You have two
Yeah.
players ahead of you. There's no place for you in the squad, especially on 4 million a year. So
Yeah. Yeah,
makes no sense.
and that also kind of inflames other players of the club who are earning less
Yeah,
and actually working for their money. That's the other thing that I'm kind of concerned about. But he's within his rights. That's the thing. We gave him a contract of June 30th, 2026 for 4 to 4.5 million
Maldini
euros.
did.
sorry
That's me.
again. I thought we were talking about Milan-based content.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
Sorry, I
Maldini?
had to add that in.
We we gave him that option, right? And he's exercising his option. So he is within his right to do it. I do find it appalling. But I'm not a fan of his. Every time he's come on, yes, he scored more goals than CDK.
I think
But
Calabria scored more goals than CDK though.
oh,
Let's
no, it's just unbelievable. But he's I've always seen him. He gets into the wrong positions. He runs into plays. He seems to have no real control of the ball. Doesn't seem to have a good reading of the game. He doesn't seem to have anything.
And the thing is, the
Except
guy
for,
he's built like an absolute tank.
well, he hits the ball hard, Shane. You've seen his goals.
It's a
He hits the
cannon.
ball so hard.
The guy has like serious strength. Like he should be.
Yeah.
Do you know like Lukaku was?
Mm,
Like he literally just burst through players,
yeah.
right? Like and it like I know like Lukaku
Hang
has
on, so
an
you
awful
want
lot more
Lukaku?
skill.
Yeah.
I would, because I'm
Was,
just in
was,
my head
was.
now. I've already developed it. In this reality, what's going to happen is that we're going to need to beat Inter the last, last Inter game of the season, and it means we're going to win the title or whatever. Even though I don't know when we're playing them, it won't be anywhere near last. Okay, let's say Coppa Italia final, right? So we're going to be playing Inter, right? Giroud's going to get injured, right? And then we'll bring on Lukaku, and then Lukaku will score a hat trick against Inter, and the cough levels. The cough levels from Inter fans.
You
It'd
just
be
want us
great.
to sign him just for
Just
that
to score
moment.
against Inter.
That's
That's
what.
it. That's it. Just to score
Leave
against
him on the
Inter.
bench the whole season, yeah, and then we bring him
That's
on
it.
just
Just
for that
bring him
game,
on.
yeah.
Bring
Yeah.
him
Oh,
on for the Inter games. That's all
you know
you're
what?
needed for.
I can accept that. I can take that. I'm more than happy to do that. To inflict more pain on them. I'm good with that.
Imagine the cough levels, though. Like
It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. I don't think he's coming, but I really hope that rumor's not true. Because if he comes, well, we'll have to deal with it if he does come. At his peak, he was a great striker, but that's not what he is now. Simple as that. And his attitude stinks.
needs to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting to just Christian's other question is about the third kit. Yeah, the
Oh.
how I
That's the
put something in
Durex
our
kit. Yeah, kit. Tristan.
It's like
That's the
a
Durex kit.
it's like a purple, pink, turquoise mashup or like fade. I don't know how to go. By the way, it's actually on sale here. I saw it at the store just now. I'm surprised.
It's on sale. A lot of things are on sale. Doesn't mean people buy them.
True. But the fact that they actually bought it here, maybe someone might be interested. So, what
I
do you guys think
I
of this kit?
I think, guys, I'm going to be brutal on this one. I think all the kits this season are bad. I'm sorry to say.
The away one is the best of a bad lot, right? Like the
Okay, the away
is
one's the
okay.
best of the bad bunch, but even the home kit, please,
It's junk.
please,
Complete
stripes,
junk. Like
stripes, Milan stripes. Come on, guys, it's quite simple. We're a legendary club, stripes. Don't want none of that zagged shite that Inter Milan wear, snake crap. Just go with clean stripes and I'll be happy. Now, this shirt is, yeah, for going out, I guess. I don't know. But I haven't got any clothes that look that kind of color combination. So
Could be a
it's not
first.
for me. It must be for another generation. I don't know, man. But
maybe a
it's not.
pride parade or something.
Maybe I don't know, dude. I don't know. Whatever. If there's people out there that want it and they've done their due diligence and market research and so on, that people want
And
that
you're
shirt,
prepared to wear it.
I'm gonna guess that someone is. Should we do this, Shane?
Mhm.
If Milan sign Lukaku,
Oh no!
You ready?
Yeah,
Wait. And if he scores against Inter,
sure,
a Lukaku third kit.
sure. Okay,
You
let's do
agree?
With the
it.
name,
Okay,
with the name. Yeah.
with the Lukaku name
Name on the
on
back,
the
bro.
third kit,
Name on the back,
on the
bro. Right?
Durex kit. Yeah, I know it makes sense. It makes sense.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay,
Clip that one.
let's do that. That's for you as well, Hosni, by the way.
I'm on. If that
Yeah,
happens, I guess I don't
If
really
we
have a
side
choice.
Lukaku scores against Inter, we get the Durex kit with Lukaku on the
Bang.
back.
Bang.
Okay.
But there's one
Deal.
question here that I think we should spend time. It's quite a serious one, yeah. That Christian asked: is it true that Man United are looking at Theo because their left back? I don't know who the left back is for Man United. Is it Dalot or I don't know
Dalot,
who it is.
isn't it?
No, isn't it Luke Shaw or was it Luke Shaw? I
Yeah.
think.
So he's out for the next few months, and they're looking at Theo.
I've
So
not
how would
heard
you
of this
guys
one.
feel if Man United, because they got the green, the club
I
is
know.
loaded. I don't know how they got the money, but yeah.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Certain players.
I think they're
like
hanging on for that takeover from that Qatari family or owner.
they are. Yeah. No, Teo is on the unsellable list.
So how would you guys feel if 100 million bid came for Theo?
No. Because who do you replace him
Oh,
with? You
Luke
can't
Shaw is
replace
out.
him with anyone
Not this
anywhere
late in the
near
window,
as good.
but that's a lot of money, if you know what I mean. This
It is.
ownership, they're all about the dollars and cents. Well, no, not
No.
anymore cents, but dollars. The big bills.
No, because you need to get one of the best, like I'm talking attacking wise, right? You need to get one of the best left backs in the world to then take his place.
True.
So I no. There's certain players are unsellable.
That's what
So
I thought about
Teo.
Tonali, but it happened.
No, Tonali was always sellable, right? We always I know it came. I know it was difficult, like going through it, right? But Tonali, for what he's replaceable, right? Like we did say that, right? Like we kind of okay, so Tonali's replaceable in terms of output, but in terms of what Theo can give you when he's playing well, it's like good luck finding a left back in the world that can do that.
I don't think. I don't think we can afford to sell Theo now.
Nah.
I do think. I thought the strategy was always one big piece every summer transfer window to kind of fund the windows until you have that kind of money coming in. So I could understand Tonali because of the amount of money and the players that came in. I can understand why they did it. I'm really not happy why they did it. I didn't want them to do it, I should say. I wanted Tonali to stay and us to add maybe one or two players only. Actually, that was would have been my best one. Would have been SMS, for example, or Kamada, and the striker. I would have been happy with that. But now that we got rid of Tonali and we've gone through buying 7-8 players, I don't think we can lose another very, very, very big piece of the club. And I think now I can see your story, Husney. I can see it now. They lost Luke Shaw a number of weeks. It's not that big. It's a muscle injury, dude. It's not. I don't think they'll spend that amount of money on
I
a
don't
left
think they
back.
can spend that amount of money.
Okay,
Like
let
I'm
me
being
throw.
just honest now. I don't think they can because of the ownership situation.
Let me throw the spanner in. Yeah. So Theo's contract expires in 2026. Next season is 2024, so he has 2 seasons left, and that is the right time to sell anyone. So, do you
Yeah.
think, with all these rumors, because I mean, this is how it starts with any of our players. This is how it starts, except for Tonali. I think that was a bit surprise to me, but they start poking around. These players start to get interested because, yeah, undoubtedly, maybe not Theo, but maybe his agent is already asking like, what is the offer
Yeah.
like? This is how players start to think of leaving.
Yeah.
So do
I
you?
can see that.
Yeah, and I just want to know it from both of you. Do you even think Theo will go beyond his current contract?
I think next summer. Honestly, guys, I think next summer one of the big pieces goes.
Krunic.
Courageous to go now, not next summer.
We're
I'm trying to
done
be
here.
serious
We're
now.
finished. We're over. We're gone.
If he goes, let's say it's the end of Milan. No, no, no. Come on. I think next summer one of the big pieces goes. Don't say Krunic again.
Uh, let me make a wager with you, John, because I think not one but two will go. Because, and I'll tell you the reasons why. Next season, I think will be construction time for the stadium.
Oh no.
Oh.
So if you think about it, and yeah, he's got to take a loan for it, but less loans the better, right? If you can fund it through the club, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah. That would mean, but stadium construction is Leao money.
Yeah, it could be.
It's big money. But now we have a lot of left wingers. A lot.
Let's not. Let's
That's
not.
not.
Let's not let go. Let's not do that. No.
But,
All right,
yeah.
guys. Well, it's yeah, we've thank everyone for the questions, and yeah, but it's way past the hour mark. But yeah, good stuff, good content that we have in terms of discussion. I want to say thanks to
Hey, Lewis,
everyone, to
sorry to
Christian,
see
to Liban Yusuf. He's also in our chat. And we typed the oh god chain, don't do it. I
Don't
think
do
he's
it.
referring to the Durex kit that you're about to buy
No,
in
it's
about
happening.
5 days
It's
time.
happening. It's happening. I might just
So
buy it now. Actually, I think I'll
yeah,
have two. I'll have one that
And
I'll
put the
never
cup on the
wear.
back,
Yeah. No.
even if
I'll,
it doesn't sign.
no. I'll go. I'll see. Do they do hashtags? So hashtag Cardinale out,
Oh,
and then
oh.
and just for the fun of it, that'd be great. Okay, I'll have to see.
All right.
so yeah, for those tuning in, thanks for following us through this pod. Has been a bit long, but yeah, with a lot of great content, and yeah, we hope to keep it coming for everyone who's listening in weekly, especially after the game. We'll preview the next games and all our Milan thoughts. So yeah, with that, follow us YouTube, Instagram. We have an account, but not so active. I think Shane's got a handle on the X. On the X.
I did
Um,
before I had to jump continents again. Yeah, I have to get back
Yeah.
into that. That's a
So
reminder.
you can reach us
Yeah.
on Twitter or X, and yeah, to drop us a comment message. And as always, everyone, till next time, Forza Milan.
Forza Milan.
Italia!